Hello everyone, welcome to my astrology channel. Today we're going to do another horary chart together and we will go on some basic horary techniques. Before we start the chart, I would like to tell you that I give sessions around the world and also I give private lessons. So if you want to study with me or if you want to book a session from me, you can contact me on my Instagram account, Buket Solak _. So, okay, let's start the chart. So as I said, today's chart is about relationship. And this is our chart. So in horary charts and in any natal or other charts in astrology, we always start with the ascendant. And ascendant tells us the what kind of situation you're in. It gives hint about subject. So we see late degrees on the ascendant, 28 degrees Capricorn, 22 minutes is rising. And also there's Pluto on the ascendant. So the Pluto is retrograde. It doesn't really mean if it's retro or direct. So we don't really care about that, but we care about there's obvious Pluto on the ascendant and it's a late degree. So when there is a late degree on the ascendant, it can mean the subject is already done. Like you ask a question about something, but there is nothing to talk about it. It's already ended. Or you ask about something, you don't know that some things happened and it's already over. So you are late to ask about it, but you don't know. So you ask anyway. Also, it says when there is something, you did everything, you tried everything, and nothing happened. And you are just asking if there is any other chance. This is also a possibility for the late degree. And the other thing is, which I witnessed a lot of time, that it is gonna end. So it's saying that there is an ending very soon and the circumstances going to change very soon. So it means you cannot rely on the subject that you're asking about. It's obviously a coming ending. And also Pluto on the ascendant is very interesting. Pluto is about like huge, intense, deep experiences. Pluto is Hades, the god of underworld, and it's about like darkness, manipulation, like hidden things, that some secrets. But most of the time, like when I see Pluto on the ascendant, it gives me that this subject is very like obsessive thing. So maybe the person who asked this question is already know how toxic this relationship is, but he or she ask it anyway. Pluto is also about like something triggers you too much, and there is a really toxicity in the question is asked. So even though we didn't read the rest of the chart, it's saying that this topic is this topic can be also a little bit maybe dangerous, like doesn't serve the person, or as I said, it can be very toxic, very unnecessary, triggering, huge, intense, like maybe the person is parent is feeling like drowning and a darkness. So after we talk about the ascendant and the Pluto on the ascendant, we go to querent, and this is Saturn, 2 degrees Pisces, 35 minutes retrograde. So when we analyze our significators, we analyze full of it. First, we talk about essential dignity or debility, accidental fortitude or debility, and yeah, pretty much first First of all, we do these and then we look for the aspects. So when I analyze this Saturn, Saturn is in the first decan of Pisces, and in this chart, Saturn only has decan rulership. And when you are in your decan, and if it's the only dignity you have, it means that, again, you're drowning, because it means in the literature, the man on his last gasp. So if you're on your last gasp, it means that you are really struggling about to achieve what you want. The things are very hard for you. And you're not in your 100% power. So we can say that the person who asked the question is really maybe trying to fix or trying to do as much as she can to hold the subject, not to leave it. But in fact, she doesn't have any power to change anything because it's obviously on his last gasp. So it's not a good testimony for starting to have only decan. I know it's one of the essential dignities and gets 1 point, but it's like instead of a dignity, actually it shows weakness. Plus, this Saturn is retrograde. This is an accidental debility. So when your planet is in retrograde, it is retrograde. It means there is some environmental circumstances that not support you. So this person is not able to move on. There is something holding her behind and limiting her powers. Because when you're retrograde, it means that you are not walking on the right path. Instead, you're going backwards, and it gives you a passive image, like you're passive, you can't take an action. You can also feel confused, like, what is it? Like, why am I having this? There is something wrong environmentally, which is blocking you to do what you want. Okay, and since this Saturn is in the second house, and the Saturn is also ruling the second house, there can be some money concerns. Maybe this person wants to take an action, but maybe the money issues are also another concern for her to not moving on. As you said, what we did is we talk about essential dignity, the Saturn being in Pisces, being in Decan, and what does it mean? We talk about accidental debility, which is retrogradation, and we also talk about another accidental thing to be in the second house. Now, the next step is we go to Quaesidates, and which is moon. So normally, moon is the co-significator of the querent. But if the moon is representing any other thing in the chart, then we are not going to take moon as our co-significator, because now moon signifies something different. So moon in this chart is the representation of the partner. And we see moon in 0 degrees Virgo, 40 minutes, in the malefic 8th house of death, debt, and infortunes. So when your significator is in the 8th house, this is something to talk about. And also, we again going to talk about the essential dignity or debility the moon has. So normally, moon in earth elements has a triplicity rulership. But this is a diurnal chart. The sun is above the horizon. So when it's a diurnal chart, the earth triplicity rulers are first Venus, second is moon, and the third is Mars. So if this chart was a nocturnal chart, moon would get triplicity rulership. But since it's a diurnal chart, moon gets 0 point for this degree. Plus, this moon is in sun's decan, I'm pretty sure it's the sun's decan, so it doesn't get any decan rulership, and the moon and the sun doesn't have any term rulership. So we can say that this moon is peregrine. So let's talk about peregrination. Peregrination is something that when your planet doesn't have any dignity or debility in a sign. So it means that this moon doesn't have any responsibility in the sign. If we translate that to a person, it means that I have no responsibility about this topic, because dignity is a responsibility about something. For example, Saturn rules Aquarius, and Saturn has a responsibility about Aquarius in the chart. Like uh, you look at where is Aquarius in the chart, like which house cusp is in Aquarius, and then you say that Saturn has a responsibility about this because Saturn rules this chart, rules Aquarius. But if your planet doesn't have any rulership and also any debility, it means that it's like a tourist just visiting the sign, has no responsibility, nothing to do there. I just stop by, like just passing there. So if you don't have any responsibility about one thing, how can you expect something? It's easy. It's very easy to understand. So this person is asking like this relationship word continue. If your partner is peregrine, and if your partner is in the eighth house of death, how can it work? Because the eighth house is about death, but it doesn't have to be like a physical death. It can be like an end of something, maybe an end of relationship, end of love. Plus, eighth house is a idle place. It's dark, like it's unknown, and it means that your partner is in a place, one of the very malefic places in the chart, peregrine, and it's a darkness. So you can't really define this person, like what this person brings in a relationship, like what is this person trying to do, what is his responsibilities about the relationship. There is nothing, like you can't define it. It's like a lost person. There is no other person in the relationship. But the querent is obviously struggling to figure out things. The next step normally is moon, but we don't do moon because we already use moon as a quasi significator. So we directly can check the aspects. So since Saturn is very heavy planet, we start with the moon because moon is going to make the aspect, and we always look for the next aspect. And moon's next aspect is going to be opposition with Saturn, and Saturn is querent, moon is quiescent. It means that me and my partner gonna get like this. It means hardness, it means fight, it means breakup, it means separation. Because opposition, the aspect opposition 180 is 80 carries Saturnian emphasis, and Saturn is all about separation. And plus, it's a hard aspect. It's like a duello, and it's a hard aspect. It says that in two time, I forgot the English word. Like, how can I say? It can be like 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. But I would say it's going to be like 2 weeks because it's in the succeedent house and it's in the mutual sign. So it can be like 2 weeks. They are going to break up. And it can be a fight between them because the aspect type is a hard aspect, Saturnian aspect. So this is what I said to my client, to be honest. So it's very obvious this relationship is toxic. The querent is struggling. Querent is trying to figure out stuff but cannot move. It's retrograde. It's on the decan rulership. The moon is in the eighth house, peregrine. There is a hard aspect between the querent and the quiescent. Plus, there is Venus in the seventh house. So when you finish your reading, you follow the steps, like you do querent, quested, moon, aspects, and you're done with the basic and primary things. And when your reading is done, then you look for the other things that takes your attention. And it's a relationship, and there's a Venus on the seventh house. This is a problem because if there's a Venus in relationship charts, most of the time, if Venus is not ruling the ascendant, then it shows third person. So the guy might be cheating on her. And if chart tells you one thing, it's going to tell you in a different way. So there's Venus on the seventh house. The ascendant is late degrees. There's Pluto on the ascendant. The moon is peregrine in the eighth house. The Saturn is retrograde. There are many stuff, actually, if you like pay attention, you can catch the hints. They are pointing one thing. This is something wrong about this relationship. Just pay attention, just be aware. Open your eyes. That's what the chart says. So also I also told my client that there can be some other woman because there's obvious Venus and Pluto and late degrees, blah, blah, blah. Like I explained everything to her. And what happened is 2 weeks later, they had a very big fight. And he left his phone in her house. And what happened is she found out there was another woman. So very simple, very easy chart, very obvious chart. And I would like to also tell you that, so this chart is very accurate and very real, like everything she is experiencing in her relationship is on the chart. It's because this person is really looking for an answer. This person cannot solve the problems by itself. So she's really needed help. And she's asking like, does it work or I should just give up and move on? This is a very real question. So the chart is very real and it just wants to give you a direction. So what I can recommend to you is that if you want to practice, try to practice on real questions because the chart is going to talk to you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this reading. I'm done with this chart. If you like the chart, you can just leave a comment. And also, as I said, if you want to study horary astrology with me, you can just DM me on my Instagram account or my Turkish number. I'm pretty sure it's also on the channel. So we can just start studying together, or you can book a session if you have any important questions. We can have a reading together. We do it on Zoom. And what else? And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the chart and see you on the next horary charts.